Hey everyone, I'm here with Nassim from Dex.Ag and Roscoe from the CEO of Masendo. And I am the head of DeFi at Masendo, and we're going to talk a bit about DexAg. Nassim has joined us to explain to us what it is. Would you like to give everyone kind of an overview of what DexAg is?
So basically, what we think, how we think about DexAg is like it's our way to solve the pain point of all decentralized exchanges. Like decentralized exchanges have fragmented liquidity and high slippages on different pairs now.
Okay.
Basically, DexAg will aggregate all dexes available for any pairs that you choose for the liquidity that you choose to get, and based on the parameters you input, DexAg will provide you with a best price and best liquidity on any of these dexes, which are now like 11 dexes for now, with also direct integrations for 5 dexes where you can just execute the transaction without even leaving the DexAg interface. Like no need to go into the Dex. You just confirm the transaction, sign it on MetaMask or your wallet, whatever wallet you're using, and the transaction just Ethereum.
Sure.
So basically, it has two, it provide non-precedented ease of use. Like instead of having to check several dexes price now, and will also let's say cut from the different processes that you have to make in order to use the dex. Log into the window, set what you want, execute the transaction.
Sure. So let me break it down just to make sure that people understand exactly kind of what the problem is that you're solving. So when I've gone on to Uniswap, for example, and I want to buy Ethereum, I notice sometimes that the price I'm getting is not very good. And I also notice that if I'm trying to buy 1 Ethereum or I put in 10 Ethereum, the price difference is quite large if I try to buy between 1 and 10. And so
that's exactly what happens.
Yeah. And so I've used Dex. I've gone into Dex.Ag to kind of just feel out which exchanges are having the best rates, for example, because I'm not buying orders that are big enough maybe to be spread across. But I do notice there's a huge difference. And the difference occurs both between dexes and also just depending on the size of the order. So
exactly.
Sounds like that's the problem that you're addressing.
Yes, exactly. Sometimes let's say a 100 DAI order be best done on Uniswap, and executing a 1,000 DAI order would definitely not be best executed on Uniswap. It would be like on IDEX or I don't know, other decentralized exchanges. So basically, DexAg does that for you. And we're also working on several other features that would enable you to get your orders spread multiple dexes in a way to optimize the actual rate you're getting. That would be especially useful for larger transaction volumes, let's say.
Just one quick question I have, just for the people tuning into this, some people may not be across the difference between a decentralized and centralized exchange. Obviously, when people are going to change from one currency to another, they don't want to lose money in that process, and they want to, make sure they have as little slippage and the spreads are small, meaning that if they put $100 in, they get as close as they can to $100 out of the new asset. What's the difference between centralized and decentralized when it comes to doing these swaps for people, just for the people who may be fresh to this?
Well, basically, what decentralized exchanges are a lot better at is managing risk. The funds that you're holding are in your wallet. You're not entrusting them to anyone. You take care of your OPSEC. You have very little chance of losing your fund to hackers. There have been like breaches of individual wallets, mostly be like users handling carelessly their private passphrases and their basically their blockchain accounts. There have been numerous hacks on exchanges because they act huge honeypots for hackers, which would try to like regularly breach into them and try to like access customer funds. That's what decentralized exchanges mainly try to kind of be better at. The only problem until now was that volumes are smaller on decentralized exchanges. That's one, and two, prices are not as optimized as centralized ones.
Sure.
So basically, what DexAg does is that it creates first a simple interface for people that don't want to go into decentralized and like figure out how they work. They would just like very easily put in the order they want to buy, the pair they're buying, the volume, and just let the magic happen in the back end. That's and two. Once you have access to the best price on any DEX, you can sometimes get as close as possible from the prices on centralized exchanges, and even sometimes you can get prices.
Sure.
That does happen a lot. So let's say that does happen frequently. So basically, if you're getting same or better prices, if you're able to access the volume you use to access, and you're not like facing custody, I think decentralized exchanges would like start to get like an edge on the centralized.
Sure. And another key point there is it doesn't require any KYC or any like logging into an account or doing your authenticator or any of that stuff. It's fully kind of an independent action with the independent contract. Exactly. Is that a right way of putting it?
Yeah. And also it's provably like on chain, and there's no kind of manipulation that would be possible.
Sure.
Got it. One of the things it pretty much sounds like you get sovereignty and you break free of all of the systemic crap that comes with money exchange. If you don't have things like ID or live in a country with capital controls or hyperinflation, it sounds great. It sounds like a tool for freedom. I'm very curious as to like who you guys are attracting as like your main user. Like where's the most of the traffic coming from for Dex.Ag? Like who's being drawn to you and why?
Basically, we don't analyze our traffic. That's for the moment, because I do think that we're not kind of into like geographically pinpointing our users, but what I can say is analyzing just the on-chain traffic, that the transactions on blockchain, without trying to like do any geographical or whatever analysis of the user. We are seeing people who are doing some arbitrage on DexAg, like try to get the best price when that's better than the centralized prices, maybe exchange it on centralized exchanges. Like small time is kind of being like that's our interpretation. Of course, we do think that people are trying to do that. And mainly, I think people who want like simplicity of like just logging into a website and like exchanging your tokens without having to, I mean, not logging into a website, just going into the website, no login, no nothing, just swipe your tokens and you're done.
Sure. Yeah. One thing I wanted to get,
just one thing to add. like going to centralized is also pretty kind of defeats the purpose of the speed of blockchain, because you have to send the funds to the centralized and then you have to wait for numerous confirmations, which makes the process like kind of even slower. Doing it on decentralized exchanges, like you get the maximum speed that you can get via blockchain. So this is also, I think, something that users kind of appreciating with DexAg and decentralized.
Sure, absolutely. One thing I wanted to get clear on was if I was doing a really large order, will DexAg automatically spread it across multiple DEXs?
That is a feature we are working on right now.
Okay, that's what I thought you said. Okay.
I talked about it just a minute ago.
Right, okay.
Like before, not a minute. But yeah, that's a feature we are working on, and that would like give the benefit of DEXs. That larger orders are like now clearly better suited on centralized exchanges. Slippages on DEXs are like still bigger than the centralized ones.
Sure.
When we have that feature, and you think of it like we're kind of unifying all DEXs together. Like it doesn't matter if liquidity is being provided core on Uniswap, Dex, if there are market makers on F2DAI that are providing, doesn't matter. It becomes like just a unified system.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think that's hugely important.
You are the biggest winners here.
Sure. Yeah. And what are the fees for using it?
Basically, using DexAg now has no doesn't involve any fees now.
Okay.
At least.
Okay. And so when I go to your site and I click through to make a trade, is there an additional transaction that happens to use your service versus going directly to Uniswap or another DEX?
For now, like happens directly without any we are just like aggregating, like creating the transaction for you on the DEX directly. Okay. No, we are working on a proxy contract that would enable some sorts of things. Like first, it would enable us to integrate with the contract-based wallets that like Gnosis Safe, the new breed of Dapper, and the new breed of contract-based wallets. Sure. And that would enable several other improvements, like splitting the order to several DEXs. Sure. That is being worked on now. Should be available in maybe a month or so.
Yeah, I think that's hugely important. Actually, Tom and I, the CTO of Masendo, and I were talking about basically how users need to have this built into these smart contract wallets, so that they don't have to really understand what a DEX is and have to go and check them and do all this manual work in order to get the best rates. Like they should basically trust and not have to do all of the nerding out about these topics in order to get good financial services from crypto. So yeah, I think that's hugely important to integrate with wallets. Yeah.
And that's exactly why we have published our SDK, which is super simple and can be integrated like very easily to different wallets. We do have a few partners that are committed to integrating DexAg as soon as we have the proxy contracts ready. And I think that once we start this tool on different wallets, like it will enable us to kind of more freely exchange ERCs and ETH and any tokens available on Ethereum now.
Cool.
Super awesome.
So the one question I ask everybody is like, if you go to like a family event or like a holiday where like your distant relatives all come together and your uncle asks you what you do for work, how do you explain your job to somebody who's completely out of the crypto space?
Um, I usually start with Bitcoin because
Okay.
sometimes most of the people have heard that.
Right.
So, and here I get the either depending on the market mood, I either get, oh, you work with Bitcoin when markets are down. So people trying to recomfort me, and no, what up? Oh, you're Bitcoin.
Right. Okay.
So. And then I try to kind of in that Bitcoin is super great, but there are this new thing called Ethereum that's not really new, that tested and has like a lot of let's say different features that can be implemented on top of it with programming languages and logic that can be embedded on publicly distributed ledger.
Cool. And do people follow along, and does the conversation take up the rest of the evening, or does it? Do you kind of
it usually does.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It usually does. It usually does.
That's what I thought. I think we've all been there.
Yeah.
Cool.
100%.
Yep. Well, thanks for taking the time to chat with us. I look forward to it. I've been using DexAg for a while now when I use Dexes, so appreciate the service you're providing. It's definitely saved me money for sure. Yeah, so I appreciate it.
Just before we wrap the recording side of things, I'm super curious to hear, Nassim, like what's the vision for DexAg? Like if we fast forward a few years into the future, what is it you guys are building? Like what does this look like a few years into the future?
Well, I think now we're focused on like first for the short term, we're kind of focused on integrating DexAg everywhere possible, like enable that what you called financial freedom, getting it to everyone that's using an Ethereum wallet or like stuff, and then from there on. I do think that a tool like that would kind of make it easier for all DEXs to kind of prevail on centralized exchanges. We wouldn't mind seeing like hundreds of DEXs with different optimizations happening, like the ones that are like starting now. We know of a lot of new decentralized exchange are like trying to roll out in late 2019, early 2020 that will provide features that come very close to what centralized exchanges do. But we still believe that users want like the ease of use of tokens. Tokens are going to be like ubiquitous, we think, and being able to access them, transfer them, and even like doing the transfers in the back end without people knowing that they're like maybe we see a future where people are like paying with DAI, but actually in the back end something is converting that DAI to another token, and paying that service in, let's say, in Ethereum, but the user doesn't have to know about inside working. And to be able to provide those services, you would need to have like efficient track of tokens between tokens and Ethereum and different pairs.
Yep. Nice. I like that vision. I think that's a really important service you're providing.
Totally.
Cool. Did you have anything else, Roscoe, that you wanted to ask?
No, not really. Like, I mean, I just think it's a fantastic service. It's, necessary for people to understand the benefits of it. I don't think that people fully grasp, why people should be diehard decentralized versus centralized services. And there's so many benefits, including, I really like the way you put it, Nassim, being mostly about risk management and having the asset, for the most part, mostly in your control at almost every step of the way. So that to me is such a high benefit that people just don't understand until they have something catastrophic happen. Like if you're living in Italy several years ago or Greece, and there's a bail-in, you know, and suddenly your money's gone out of your own bank account. People don't understand the benefits of it until they get hurt by it. So, yeah, super cool. Appreciate you jumping on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Roscoe. Thank you, Clayton. It was nice chatting.